Hey guys, just two things. I just was notified of the passing of Rich Curbelo, and I didn't know Rich well, but certainly a member of your all fraternity, and it sounded like a really sudden passing. So my thoughts and prayers go out to his family for certain. It's a sad, sad thing. Um, I'd also like to just congratulate Jimmy Howard on announcing his retirement and on an awesome career. Jimmy was a great teammate, great Red Wing. I was always really impressed with how he really continued his career at a critical moment when I became the head coach and changed his game. And I thought that was just an example of Jimmy's commitment to his craft. And he had a great career, and certainly want to wish him luck as he continues into the next phase of his life.
Set up questions with Ted Copeland, Detroit News.
Hey Jeff, when it comes to Jimmy, is he as competitive a goalie as you've been around? I mean, that's one of the first things that comes to my mind. I mean, if he can't do something, he'd go out and do it. I mean, he'd prove you wrong, it seems like.
Yeah, really competitive, big time winner. The focus of the game was the win. I thought that's one, and then a great teammate. And I just he worked hard at his craft, worked really hard at his craft, and I was in great respect of that. And again, he had a great first early part of his career, and then the game had changed a little bit, and he worked with our goalie coaches to change his game so he could adapt, and because he wanted to be great, so I just think he had a really great career and it should be celebrated.
Is Larkin available tonight?
I'll let you know tonight. As of right now, I anticipate him in the lineup, but I don't know that 100%.
All right, that's all I need. Thanks, Jeff.
Next up, Wayne St. James, Detroit Free Press.
Jeff, just a little more on Jimmy. He was an all-star. What was it? Two seasons ago now, 3 seasons. Just the high level he held him to. I mean, obviously last season did not go the way anybody wanted to, but the year before that, he certainly, showed how good a goaltender he was.
No question about it. And again, I think that's, when I was an assistant here, he was an all-star, and then he was an all-star again later in his career, as you just spoke about. And I just think it just shows the competitiveness that Ted talked about, but also the work ethic towards being great at his craft. And goaltending is one of those positions that you can continuously work on and make adjustments and get better. And he did that. And the last year is the last year. That's as much on our hockey team as it is on anybody. And but when you look at his career in totality, it was a really wonderful career. And I'm super. Thankful that I got a chance to coach him because he was a great competitor and a really great Red Wing.
And just to clarify with Dylan, is it, you said it's not protocol, so is it injury or illness? One of those two things. I mean.
Yeah, it's one of those two things.
Okay, and is everybody else besides the 6 we already knew about, the 5 in COVID, and Helm? Any update on Helm? I guess. I mean, it's just every day seems to bring worse news around the NHL. But is everybody else standing as of now? Yeah,
Helm's another one that'll be a game time decision. I'm hopeful that he's going to be able to play tonight. If I stood here today again, I'd anticipate that he will be able to, but we're not certain. So hopefully he can get inserted back in the lineup. The 5 players in COVID protocol remain in COVID protocol, and nobody else besides those 2 players are under jeopardy to not play tonight.
Okay, and with so the guys like Fabry, I mean, you wouldn't expect him back until probably sometime during the first week of February. You talked about the other day just with the 18 to 21 day estimate, because especially with the schedule the way you're being. I mean, he needs a few practices now, and same the other guys. I think were 4 or 5 days later that they went into protocol. Right, that timeline kind of is correct.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time, honestly remember what the date is
I
today.
know.
I guess I can look at the screen, but I would say here's the timeline that's certain is Robbie Fabry is 14 days after he went into the COVID protocol, which I believe is that first game against Columbus on that Monday.
Right. Yeah.
It's a minimum of 14 days. He can't exercise or exert himself until those 14 days are up. So, again, that's at a minimum. How many days after that is really hard to say, but as you could tell, I mean, that's being off for 14 days. That's a long time. I think Adam Ernie is in that similar timeline, although, he went through a process of a positive test and then a confirmatory negative and then a positive. And I think you work off the last positive. So his timeline would be potentially just 2 days later. The other guys are just a little bit later after that. So, I would let you guys do the math without having the calendar sitting in front of me. I'm actually going to sit down with Pete Van Zandt to go through it, our athletic trainer today, just to go through it and start to map out when those guys would potentially be available.
Well, part of the issue is that, I mean, I think after this week, you just play so often, like you've talked about. There's not a lot of, I mean, there's a limit to how much you can get out of morning skates, I guess, and then not a ton of practices. And when somebody hasn't done anything for 14 days, you can't just say, oh, you've had a practice, here's your spot in the lineup, basically, right? I mean, that's part of the headache this season.
Yeah, and I think part of that, process is I think getting them back into shape so that they don't injure themselves. That would probably be the number one priority. So getting them back into a position where all of a sudden, they don't have groin issues or soft tissues injuries because of the fact they haven't skated that level. It'll be very difficult to get them into as many game situations as you'd like. Because of the fact that it's just really, really hard to practice. Now we've practiced, but it's not, as long or as rigorous as you'd like it to be. Looking at the schedule moving forward, we'll still have enough practices and, some of them will be, I don't want to say rushed back into action. They won't be rushed in. They'll only be put in when they're, when we perceive that they're in game shape, but they might not be as practice ready as we want. But if they're in game shape, then there's a good chance we'll insert them back in the lineup, given the number of players that we're missing.
Thank you.
Next up, Owen Newkirk with Stars TV.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. Just a couple of quick ones for you. When you go about getting ready for a game where you face a rookie goalie who has played in the playoffs but never made an NHL start in the regular season, how do you put a book together on him?
Jeff Saleka, our goalie coach, and Brian Mahoney-Wilson, our American League goalie coach, work in tandem to get through clips that we've seen Jake play in the American League. Obviously, I have a little bit of, I think it was a period and a half last year in the playoffs, but mainly from the American League. We'll have had a scouting report prior to that based on, his time at college, his time at the U.S. National Team Development Program, but specifically more in the American League time and put a scouting report together for our players to be able to see some clips and also have the scouting report.
Is there a big difference for you going from playing a team like the Stars twice a year to suddenly having to deal with them 8 times a year? I mean, do you do any difference in preparation, whether it's pre-scout going into your first meeting or throughout the season, how much you pay attention to them?
Well, I think when you play a team and the number of times that we're playing each team in our division across the league, there are differences, not necessarily in game one. Game one would be similar. Game two, when you're playing the same team back to back, is different. It's a little bit more like what I would have saw in the American League, or certainly what I would have saw in college. And both teams try to make little adjustments to their game based on what the opponent's doing and where you think you can exploit them and where you think you got to get better at. And then as you go through the season, you probably make little adjustments as you go. So there's differences. I like it, Owen. I think it's I enjoy the part of the schedule where we stay in Dallas and we play the team twice, and then when they come up, they play us twice. I think it makes sense, certainly from a travel standpoint. And so I've enjoyed it, and I enjoy the opportunity for us to go back out and see if we can't get a better result than we got the other night.
And lastly, for me, correct me if I'm wrong, but Tuesday night was your first game this year with fans in the stands. Just curious what that's like after playing some empty buildings? And do you think that has any effect on the play of the game?
Not totally accurate. In Detroit, we have minimal amount of fans. It may mainly be so. Certainly totally different. With five, I think you had 5,000, and 5,000 honestly felt like 15,000 to be honest. Just because we aren't used to that. Chicago was totally empty. And so this was way different, and as you know, way better. I mean, I think when you can have fans in the stands, it's better. We'd all like to be back to the situation where the buildings are full. The energy is just simply better. That's just the reality of it. That's fans make sports special because of the energy that they bring and they provide, and it just makes for a better atmosphere. So again, we'll play in whatever situation we have to play in. We're extremely happy to be playing. But it certainly was nice to have the fans in there, and probably nice for us not to have 20,000 fans in on the road though either. I like 5,000 a little bit better.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll wrap up with Ted Colton, Detroit News.
Hey, Jeff, there was one other one there. When you look at the COVID list, guy that really stands out is Zadina. I mean, again, a chunk of development time, a lot of games that he might miss here. Is that kind of a gut punch, a frustrating thing? It's like, man, that guy could have used that playing time here this season and all.
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at it, Ted, certainly from a development standpoint for Philip Zadina, he got hurt at the end of last year, and now he comes into this year, and he's been playing regularly over in the Czech league, and he's ready to kind of hit the ground running, and he's playing pretty good hockey, and he was on a line with Dylan Larkin, and then all of a sudden he gets COVID, and now he's not playing, and so it's unfortunate for sure for him, and I would say the same. Robbie Fabry's had a run of difficult injuries throughout his career, and he needs to have as long a runway as possible to get going here. And I know Johnny Merrill was excited about the opportunity he was getting with us in the power play and the penalty kill, and so it's unfortunate, but every team's dealing with it in different ways. I mean, at the end of the day, this particular series, you have two teams that are really shorthanded for differing reasons. Ours, we've got a number of guys in the COVID protocol. They've got their injuries. So, we have two teams that are shorthanded, but it's just the reality of, I think, what teams are going to go through. We just got to find a way to play and win hockey games until these guys can get back.
How did this road trip go? Everybody was talking about how difficult life on the road was. I mean, now that you guys are in the tail end of it, I mean, was it, a lot of time in the hotel room, I guess? It couldn't have been very easy.
Difficult's a strong word. It's not difficult, but it's different. And there's some maybe potential boredom, I guess. You're kind of seeing the inside of walls a lot, it was nicer being down here in Dallas where you'd at least go out and go for a run, and go for a walk if you wanted, because the weather was, especially the first couple of days, was really nice. But at the end, again, I think all of us, we sat there for 10, 11 months. We'd do anything to be playing hockey right now, and we're excited to be playing. So it's different, Ted. It's definitely different. Guys are more eager to meet than maybe before, because there's nothing else really to do. So, but I thought the hotel did a great job, and both hotels did, and we'll do the best we can. And the key being that we're getting a chance to play.
Thanks for this, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll be back with Danny DeKaiser shortly.